Bandung 2 presents the After Dark Debates.
Critical discussions on contemporary issues.
We constantly, probably right or wrong, that's debatable, we identify people, for example, use the expression, we say Uncle Tom. It's a common term used, okay? Or house Muslims, or these other things. Now, I was thinking the other day, Uncle Tom, I was trying to map it back to the Quran, you see. And I was saying, isn't Uncle Tom a mu'min, a kafir, or a munafiq? Okay? Because it's a very strong expression, this. So, the chairman of the MCB, A'udhu Billah, or I shouldn't say that, many a time I've said, he's an Uncle Tom. Okay? Then I was reflecting on it, so I was saying, I was calling him a munafiq. On reflection.
Assuming that's how you map
That's
the
how
terms.
I map the terms, you
Yeah,
see.
fair enough.
Which is a very, very strong implication. Because, many a time that the whole thing about I just want to bring up, the whole Takfeer thing coming up, is that every time the Takfeer debate comes up, it always comes down to, okay, you can't see inside the heart. If you get it wrong, then you are the kafir, the one who calls it. Everyone's heard the narrations on this and everything. But I really strongly believe that this Takfiri debate that went on for the last couple of years, I really believe that it was done on purpose because no one is making Takfir at the moment. It's all stopped. Okay, because everyone is really reluctant or saying Takfir, no, we don't need to do that. We can't call people kafirs. Now, I'm not saying this is right or wrong, but it is apparent this now.
So just to get you right, you're saying that the debate was brought up very quickly and it was killed off very quickly.
Definitely.
There's a reason for that.
Oh, I do believe that. I do believe that.
But just like to interject,
Yeah.
I think you have to look at and understand that there have been instances throughout Islamic history when Takfir has become a political financial tool.
Definitely.
Where you would find, for example, that certain Arab emirates wanted to go into African countries to take the land because it was precious in gold or precious in salt, which was worth its weight in gold at that particular time period in history. And they had to have a, you could say, a Sharia justification to go in and basically steal that land. Now, the only way they could do it was by paying ulama or having ulama make takfir and say, well, the people here are munafiq or they're murtadi or they're gone completely outside the fold of Islam, and then everybody storms in and says, well, treat them as kafir, we'll go and take their land, and then the wealth gets shared around, the land gets shared around, the women get taken as concubines and the children as slaves. So I think this issue of takfir has to be approached from an understanding of a historical perspective, because it has been a political football that has been used by regimes. But that's not to say that we should not do it and use the tool. It has to be careful how it is being used. Because Sayyid Qutb rahimahullah was declared a kafir by Al-Azhar in Egypt. Now, did he do anything that was clear kufr? Did he deny any of the fundamental tenets of Islam? No. Did he do shirk? No. All he said was, ila hukum wa ilillah. The law is for Allah. So we have to have, like I said, we have to be careful of the historical misuse of takfir. But at the same time, yes, there is a necessity of it again. And I think this is is quite interesting, that you have people such as Imam al-Ghazali that wrote books on this, classifying what is a kafir, what is a mubtadi, what is someone who's become a munafiq. So I think if we're going back to and we're using a strong intellectual basis based upon the Furqan of the Quran, we use it. But we have to be careful because it has resulted in the enslavement of innocent people merely because of human greed.
Can I just give you a response to that? And I completely agree with that, but the current takfir that was going on, there was no power behind that. Back then, they were going in and they were doing that.
Yeah.
So the people making takfir at the moment, they've got no power on doing it. So this was more from a, whatever you want to call it, an intellectual kind of, that perspective. That's what I would say. But I completely agree with
But
that.
one thing you need to remember, somebody can be kafir now, and in the future become a Muslim,
Oh.
and in the future become a Kafir. That person can have a juxtaposition here with this. That's why you have to be very, very careful, because if you, it's like, for instance, the idea of perfection. We're not perfect. We're always going to have to be striving. Now, I think let's take it in the realm of the political arena. I think that's dangerous, very dangerous, because just like how we're sitting out here talking, somebody could make Takfeer on you, and try and say, well, these guys are sitting down discussing things that are beyond them. They're not scholars. They're not Islamic scholars. This is causing dissension. Takfeer. You understand? To me personally, I mean, that's a subject to leave well out of the way, because I think that is gonna. It's like the reality is to animate people, not to annihilate people. For me, Islam is about animation, to give your life. It's not about destruction.
True.
You know, and the reality is people who may be watching what we're doing or listening to what we're saying, we need to show them how to address the tyranny, the deception, for them to see through this trickery. Because in reality, brother, politics, religion, these words, I only know deen. Is it, you know, when you think about where was the siyasiyah in the Quran? It doesn't exist. It's deen. That's the way of life. So all of these things are demarcations to cause difference, because at the end of the day, none of the so-called four imams, may Allah be pleased with them, Malik or Hanbali, Shafi, none of them achieve the correct Islamic system when their time. So it shows you it's trickery we have to be watching here, because the people in the power are playing a game. They don't mind you going out there preaching, or these guys propagating Islam, but as long as that Islam, they know that Islam, what you're teaching or what you're preaching, really is not going to change the status quo. What we need to be talking here is what does change this status quo, is what really is going to cause the revolution. If people don't like it or not, the reality is, how do we bring back the system of justice as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has decreed within the Quran, in a way that it is maintained and it has checks and balances. The problem is, we've had people who've used Islam as a way to get political power, and at the same time to maintain an authoritarian family or household dynasty. No, we need to bring back the deen of Islam that gives humanity, be you Muslim or non-Muslim, be you believer or disbeliever, the freedoms that Allah has given to them, the justice that Allah has given to them. Our roles, for me as a Muslim, my role is not to force somebody to be a Muslim. In fact, that's the worst thing to do. If anyone wants to be a Muslim, that has to be from themselves. Our role and our purpose is Muslims, under the flag of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, is to make people be aware of Allah, to make people be aware of the Day of Judgment, to make people be aware of the paradise, to make people be aware of the Jahannam. And that's it.